Today we're going to look at the comment replies to the video Woman Just Destroyed Pride Month. Even gay people can't support Pride anymore by Black Conservative 24. We're looking at some replies to the top comment to the video. Greg Dennert 4441 made a reply in the thread to Will Hall 7777 God doesn't exist. Then goes further to say science actually disproves God's existence. I swear, modern Christianity is laughable.
Enough already. Back check. Incorrect.
The YouTube channel Answers in Genesis, along with others, plus many on the other social media sites, continue the debate with facts and archaeological finds. To date, science has not disproven God's existence. Barbara Simons replies to those comments, please, do that then. Prove there is no God. Barbara, that's not going to happen. Greg left with foot in mouth. Airhammer, nice name, replied also, in reality, that's an incorrect statement. List the specific articles and scientists who have proven God doesn't exist. Prove your statement. Alas, Airhammer, Greg is gone.
Moving on.
J. Monroe 988 replied to Annabelle Sanchez A11, read the part in Romans where it says the law is holy and good. Then tell me that the law is good, because that's what the chapter means. Our law is the law, and being gay isn't illegal, so that must be a change of faith in God. Scream, Romans, the law is holy and good. Why is Jay screaming? Jesus died for blasphemy, and look, it's not illegal anymore. Annabelle Sanchez replied, you give me the chapter and verse so I can see for myself. Man-made laws are not God's laws. Annabelle Sanchez says, Jesus died on the cross for our sin. Says nothing about blasphemy. You ask for forgiveness and stop doing what God hates. J. Monroe replies, Romans 7:12. Annabelle Sanchez replies back, I don't know what you're talking about. You need to explain, because what you're saying is not in the Bible. J. Monroe says, Romans speaks a lot about the law, how you draw your line in the sand and declare laws. Romans is a great book. You should read it front to back. J. Monroe then says, read Romans, the law is holy and good. Even if it's wishing a death on me, the law is good. Read Romans from front to back. Tell me there's nothing about the law being holy and good in it. Even if it wishes death upon me, it's holy and good. It's all inside Romans. I can't explain how the law came to be. I can explain it in Romans. It talks about the law. Read it from front to back and make your own judgment. The Bible isn't the law. The government is the law. Just remember that. J. Monroe continues, Romans even says the law gives knowledge of sin. They're talking about their law and their real time. Remember this. We have laws. The law is God, and the law is good. So, if the law comes to say that homosexuality is okay, it's okay in my book. You can't fight the law all day long, but the law is that you're discriminating, and that's just what it is. Remember this.
Enough already. Back check. Incorrect.
In review, pay attention to the second paragraph. J. Monroe says, our law is the law, and being gay isn't illegal, so that must be a change of faith in God. No, J. Monroe, sadly. That's a lack of reading and understanding. Here J. Monroe calls out Romans 7:12, and Annabelle Sanchez says what she had said is not in the Bible. She's right. J. Monroe goes on to explain that people make the law. People, I really wish J. Monroe could read and understand Romans the way it is written. J. Monroe further goes into explanation of how it's, I guess, Roman law, and claims angrily the law is God. Then tirades that homosexuality is okay because our laws say so, and that the law says Annabelle is discriminating. Oh, bad Annabelle, discriminating. Paul wrote Romans, and in Romans 7:12-14, Paul was answering a false charge that he was teaching that the law of Moses was sinful. He wasn't. He taught how the law of God's commands makes us aware of sin already within us. Romans 7:12-14 says, "Wherefore the law is holy, and the commandment holy and just and good. Was then that which is good made death unto me? God forbid, but sin, that it might appear sin, working death in me by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceeding simple. For we know the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin." If only J. Monroe read Romans 7:7. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Nay, I had not known sin but by the law, for I had not known lust except the law had said, Thou shalt not covet. That sounds awfully familiar. It is. Exodus 20:17. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. One of the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments. That's God's law. Annabelle Sanchez is correct in saying the government isn't God's law, it's man's laws. Annabelle says she doesn't think J. Monroe knows what she's talking about. After reading all of that, I don't either. I believe J. Monroe has been misled. But sadly, the last line is a lie. Already angry and showing it more. The truth is that people are hated for not agreeing.
Enough already.
Elijah Marie replies to Saxon that God is a spirit and has no gender. That is half correct.
Fact check. Somewhat correct.
According to the Bible, John 4:24 says God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. But it goes bad after that, continuing with Matthew 19:12 says God prefers same-sex marriage and confers that transgender people are born that way. Then goes off on a stranger redefining of eunuchs.
Fact check. Incorrect.
What does Matthew 19:12 mean? After hearing Jesus' declaration that divorce is unlawful except in the case of sexual immorality, the disciples have responded that it's better not to marry at all. By this, they seem to mean that marriage isn't worth the risk if divorce isn't an option. Jesus doesn't insist everyone must get married. Instead, he connects marriage to sexual appetite, saying not everyone is able to receive this idea of not marrying. Now Jesus begins to talk about eunuchs, and the word eunuch generally means a man who has been castrated, meaning his sexual organs have been removed. In some ancient Eastern courts, male servants who tended royal women were castrated to avoid sexual activity. Advisors, etc., were also castrated, which are eunuchs made by men. Jesus expands on the concept of eunuchs, describing some men being born eunuchs, meaning lacking sexual desire or ability. That would include physical deformities or desires incompatible with marriage. Jesus adds a third kind of eunuch, those who have made themselves so for the sake of the kingdom of heaven, actually meaning they put aside sexual desire, as in the vow of celibacy, to serve the Lord. Paul says something similar in 1 Corinthians 7. He describes his ability to be unmarried and unburdened by sexual desire as a gift from God. But Paul says not everyone has that gift and should marry to avoid risking sexual sin. To put it short, Jesus is saying whether celibate or married, everyone can use their circumstance to live for the kingdom of God righteously. Then this non-gender specific individual, after trying to redefine what a eunuch is, goes off the deep end, and I think I know why.
Fact check. Incorrect.
Then this non-gender specific individual says something probably very scary, and they must be really high.
Enough already. Fact check. Incorrect. Enough already.